The search for the lost tribes of Israel is a fascinating task that has been disturbing inquisitive minds for many generations. Who is not averse to the son of Israel, and the Scythians, and the Irish, Karaites, Pashtuns and Japanese, and the wrong number? They were found everywhere. Even Columbus was not looking for America at all, some believe, but for the lands where the lost tribes went. The ubiquitous Wikipedia tells us that the 10 lost tribes, the tribes of the descendants of 10 of the 12 tribes of Israel, who, after the destruction of the northern kingdom of Israel, fell into Assyrian captivity. Historical information about the lost tribes is very fragmentary, and for many centuries the location of their descendants remained a mystery. Theories, assumptions, and mystifications related to the identification of the descendants of the lost tribes among other peoples in Central Asia, Africa, and even among American Indians multiplied, and that it happened after the death of King Solomon. After the death of King Solomon, the United Kingdom of Israel under the rule of King Rehoboam split into 2 kingdoms, Judea in the south and Israel in the north. For the first time, the 10 tribes are mentioned in the speech of the prophet Ahijah Kravamyu, the future king of the northern kingdom of Israel, the Judean kingdom with its capital in Jerusalem, and a king from the dynasty of David. Only the tribe of Judah and Benjamin obeyed. There are maps that tell us about the lands occupied by various tribes in the territories of Israel and Judea. The lands of the 9 tribes went to the northern kingdom of Israel: Zebulun of Sahar, Ashur, Nephilim, Dan, Manasseh, Ephraim, Reuven, Gad. A part of the tribe of Levi also remained in the kingdom. The tribe of Levi, who performed the role of the clergy, did not receive their land allotment. It was scattered among other tribes throughout the United Kingdom of Israel, and was often excluded from the general count of the tribes. Nothing is said about the Nees of Simeon, whose lands were in the territory of the kingdom of Judea. It is believed that by this point Simeon's knee was very much assimilated with the more militant Judean knee. In 732, 722 years BC, the northern kingdom of Israel was captured by the Assyrian king Sargon II. Most of its population was taken captive and settled in small groups in various areas of this huge power. Thus began the first Jewish diaspora. The bulk of the Israelis were gradually assimilated by the peoples among whom they lived. Well, according to this account, 9 tribes should be considered lost, not 10, because the tribe of Simeon remained in Judea and dissolved into the tribe of Judah. And it's worth talking about later. But my story is about something else. Let's take a break from the biblical texts for a moment and take a look at this mosaic. We see the enumeration of the tribes of Israel and their symbols. Let's list what we see. Reuven, the eldest son of Jacob, is the son of Leah, and a flower is depicted opposite his name. But, as it turns out, it's not just a flower, it's a mandrake flower. Rune has a story connected with Mandragora, which says that Reuven found a mandrake, and his mother Leah sold this root to her sister Rachel for a night of love with her husband Jacob. Why is that? What's so valuable about it? It turns out to be a mandrake. This is a legendary remedy for infertility. Rachel couldn't get pregnant in any way. That is, Reuven found a cure. Probably he was an expert in this and understood herbs. Thus, we can safely assume that Reuven was a healer. The second son of Leah was Simeon. On the mosaic he is located below Reuven and next to his name. There is a solid image of the castle. Some people will say, a medieval castle or a tower. In other places, this image is concretized as a symbol of the gate. Thus, it could be said that Simeon performed the functions of a gatekeeper, or, if you like, a customs officer. They place his lot inside the lot of Judas, in which he is believed to have later dissolved. Judah is the 4th son of Leah, and although it seems that little is said about him, but suddenly, as a matter of course, it turns out that a royal family will come from the tribe of Judah, which will rule over the nations. That is, Judas is, in fact, the elder, the king, and he is supposed to live, respectively, in the capitals. And he must have a guard at the gate. He is also a customs officer from the Simeon family. Next comes Levi, the 3rd son of Leah. Everyone knows about Levi, that the coins and Levites who serve in the temple originate from him, and his occupation is clearly defined. Next one. And Sugar. And Sugar is another son of Leah, and near his name we see an image of the sun, moon and stars. Who among us in ancient times was engaged in the heavenly bodies? That's right, stargazers, fortune-tellers and other fortune-tellers. It is noted that in the Jewish tradition, the Nile and the Sahara were traditionally considered as having many scholars. And the last son of Leah is Zabulon. The sign of Zabulon is a ship, and its occupation is connected primarily with the sea. It talks about fishing and maritime trade. From Wikipedia. In Jewish tradition, it was believed that the Zabulon tribe had a symbiotic relationship with the tribe of Sugar, its neighbor, and the tribe, which was traditionally regarded as having many scholars, whereby Zabulon financially supported the dedication of the Sahara to the study and teaching of the Torah, in exchange for a share of the spiritual reward from such training. Here, the scholarship of the representatives of the tribe and Sugar is spoken of as scientists who study and teach the Torah. But this is not entirely logical. The symbiosis of Sugar with the tribe of Zebulun can be explained if we look at them as an alliance of sailors, shipbuilders, captains, sailors, Zebulonians, and navigators, pilots, navigators who know the stars. Representatives of the tribe of Sugar. We have reviewed all the sons from the first wife of Jacob, Leah, and we see that no matter how beloved Rachel is, but the children of Atul have an advantage over the children, and even Rachel. If we look at their classes and ask ourselves, what unites them all? All of them are engaged in unproductive labor. They are all a kind of superstructure of kings, guards, doctors, stargazers, priests, and only Zabulon, perhaps a fisherman and a sailor. In other words, the Leah children are a kind of elite of Israeli society. And now let's move on to Rachel's sons. Rachel's eldest son was Joseph. The fate of Joseph is one of the most beautiful stories in the Bible, and I will not tell it. But his unique fate was reflected in his role in the structure of Israeli society. He did not need an occupation and an inheritance he made himself. But, of course, he did not want to give up his share in the inheritance, and, according to many, received more than others. Both of his sons were adopted by Yaakov and received allotments. On this mosaic, however, Joseph is marked, and his symbol is sheaves of wheat, a date palm, in short. Everything related to food production. Other sources consider the tribe of Manasseh and Ephraim separately. The eldest son of Joseph and Manasseh, although he was not recognized as the eldest in the family at the same time, received the largest inheritance, the most land. What kind of occupation does Manasseh have? Agriculture, and Ephraim cattle breeding. This is probably due to the expansion of these spheres of activity over time and the separation of cattle breeding into a separate structure, into a separate direction, probably related to the need for tamed animals of bulls, oxen, and so on, to ensure an increasingly growing agriculture. The second son of Rachel, the youngest son of Jacob, is Benjamin. Logically, as the youngest in the family, he should not have received anything at all, but this is not so. Benjamin had an inheritance, and he was in Judea. And it is believed that this tribe became one of the strongest, most warlike, and numerous. How could this happen? Yaakov was probably a very cunning man. He gave his beloved son tools in his hands, and thereby made all the tribes of Israel dependent on him. Let's see what's on the mosaic. A variety of tools, agricultural, military. He made the Benjamins blacksmiths, and whoever forges weapons owns them. They inevitably became the strongest in Israel, and they had to be distributed among all tribes, like linden trees and Levites. Blacksmiths are needed by everyone. This is indicated by their flag. It consists of all the colors of all the tribes. But apparently, having gained strength, they also received land. The rest of Yaakov's children were from his maids, or rather his wife's maids. They were sisters. It is sometimes said that they were half-sisters of Leah and Rachel, but in any case, their social status was initially lower than that of official wives. Vala's eldest son was also given the sign of his Libra. Libra is interpreted as a symbol of the fact that the tribe of Dana has been assigned the right to judge between nations. His brother Naphtali has a doe as his sign, which in my opinion indicates his specialization as a hunter. From another servant Zelva, one son is a Gad, and the sign of his tents. I have no more logical explanation for this symbol than the identification of the Gada tribe with a nomadic people. But let's ask ourselves, what function did nomadic peoples perform in the world order? Why did they disappear along with the caravans? To be honest, this is not my idea, and I do not remember where and from whom I heard it, but it is about the fact that the nomadic peoples of the Scythians, Arabs, Mongols performed the role of guards of the caravans of the Silk Road, in particular. The last of the sons of Jacob of the 12 tribes was Asher, with the sign of the olive tree, which definitely symbolizes gardening. So we see that the tribe of Israel is about with the sign of the olive tree, which definitely symbolizes gardening. Thus, we see that the tribe of Israel covers all the main spheres of activity that can be imagined for that time. This is a cast of the social structure. These are rather professional guilds in a broader sense. The fact that they are organized on a family basis, this is also quite logical. This was the way society was organized until recently. The merchant gave out his daughter mainly for the merchant's son, and only the richest managed to give out a rabbi for some offspring. Artisans married artisans. The baker was not looking for a couple for his daughter among blacksmiths, primarily among the same bakers, or people whose profession is related to his profession, for example, a miller. We have developed a certain structure where we can see a clear division into spheres of activity. But we are well aware of another society, where there is also a clear division into groups. This is the so-called caste society, a caste society in India. Let's try to compare them. Society in India is divided into varnas. Varnas are already divided into castes. If we apply the division of Navarna to the 12 tribes of Israel, then we can say that the children of the eldest wife Leah are Brahmins. Levi and Judah to Kshatriya. Children, Rachel are Vaishkas, farmers, artisans, merchants. And the children of the maids, these are Sudras, servants, hired workers. Then we have the structure of the state structure. Power, protection of power, doctors, scientists, priests, merchants, peasants, animal breeders, judges, artisans, hunters, gardeners, guards of caravan routes. So we found all of our kind of lost knee. They are all around us and we are part of them. Of course, the analogy is not complete, but not a coincidence, apparently. Reflect the attitude to different professions in different societies. We have already noted that Zebulun stands out from the row, and if in India the merchants are yours, then in Israel they are a step higher. He's Leah's son, part of the elite. At the same time, Benjamin in this analogy is yours in his place, a craftsman, the son of the second legitimate wife. It should be noted that in the text of the Bible, there are some hints that specialization in activities existed among the sons of Jacob. Before coming to Egypt, when Joseph instructed his father before an audience with Pharaoh, he advised him to tell Pharaoh that they were all cattle breeders, which was obviously not the case. Otherwise, there was no need to clarify this question. Thus, both Joseph and Jacob with Lucavile, and Jacob with his sons settled in the land of Geshem. As it was better said in Israel. Of course, you can't hide an all in a bag, and after a generation, we see the sons of Israel building pyramids and feeling like slaves. So where did the 10, or rather 9 tribes go? The answer is they haven't gone anywhere. In any case, not 10, and not 9. We will not be able to find the tribe of Gad, the tribe of Asher and Naphtali. We are unlikely to find even Ephraim and Manasseh. But Benjamin, Dan, and Sugar are all here, under Judan's throne. Let's try to make guesses that do not pretend to be true. The easiest thing is probably with Zabulon's knee. Yaakov himself also mentioned that he would live by the sea, at the pier, and his land up to Sedona. He didn't mention which side of Sedona it should be located on. But in the book of Joshua, the limit of Zebulun is described as follows. The third lot fell to us Zebulun according to their tribes, and their inheritance stretched to Sarid. Their limit goes up to the sea and Morals, and adjoins Dabasheth, and adjoins the stream that is before Eniam. From Sed it goes back to the east side, to the east of the sun, to the limit of Kislev Tabor. From here it goes to Davrith, and ascends to Aphi. From here it passes to the east to Geth-Hefer, to Tukatzin, and goes to Rimmon, Mifar, and Her, and turns the limit from the north to Hanaphon, and ends in the valley and in Tach. Then, Kadav, Nagala, Shimron, Ideal and Bethlehem, 12 cities with their villages. This is the inheritance of the sons of Zebulun, according to their tribes. These are their cities and villages. The medieval map indicates the fate of Zabulon, trying to follow the text of the book, but clearly faces difficulties. Modern pictures completely deprive Zabulon of access to the sea, which of course is no good. But Sedon, aka Sorit, is mentioned in both passages, and we will rely on him, and assume that the inhabitants of Lebanon, and in a broader sense the Phoenicians, are the tribe of Zebulun. And the slopes of the Carmel mountains were given to him, so that there was where to bring down the forest on ships. With Simeon, we also have a discrepancy with the wishes of Jacob and the decisions of Joshua. In James it is said, Simeon or the brothers, the instrument of cruelty of their swords. Let not my soul hear their counsels, and let not my glory join their assembly. For they killed the husband in their anger, and cut the veins of the calf at their whim. Cursed be their wrath, for it is cruel, and their wrath, for it is fierce. I will divide them in Jacob, and scatter them in Israel. And it seems that Simeon does not need a lot, a place for him among all the tribes, with the knees of Judas, who reigns everywhere. Probably it is so one should look for the sons of Simeon in the cities, at the royal gates, at the royal throne of the descendants of David. The tribe of Joseph, which is given over to all agriculture except gardening, occupies the most land, because they need the most land to fulfill their mission. What else can be noted by looking at this map? Simeon, Dan and Benjamin are the smallest, and are actually part of the tribe of Judah, and to put it another way, the customs officers, judges and craftsmen are subordinate directly to the rulers.